Hello and welcome to That's Girl Speak. Today is Friday, February 27th. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. Thanks so much for coming over. It's beautifully sunshiny today. It is a vitamin D capsule in the out of doors, which is much appreciated. This is February. We're in central Indiana, which means we have a lot of gray weather. But we did have a day the other day where it was super clear, super bright. And even in the morning, right? Like, it was very unusual. And it was really cute. The tiny dog, who I'm like distracted by because I'm trying to figure out where he's going to settle so that I can do this thing, did do the like perfectly dog-like thing of following the sunspot around the room. Usually he's within like 2 inches of me. And when he's not, I'm like, where is the Gus? Because I'm concerned. But it was because he was in the other room, like all perfectly contorted. I mean, the sunspot was like this wide maybe. And he was all like perfectly baking in the solar oven. So cute. And then as I was working, he would kind of like move around. It was so sweet. So sweet. Usually he's just so naughty, but it was very precious. Ow! Sorry, just whacked my ankle against the like cross support on my chair. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it. I have shameless self-promotion, so I'm gonna have a very small update on February 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, fatsquirrelfibers.com. I'm going to show you that in just a second, but just like, you know, down the road, I'm going to have another update on March 15th, and then I probably will not have another update until after YarnCon, because I'm winning a YarnCon, which is a show in Chicago, Illinois. I want to say it's April 11th and 12th, but you can find more information on the internets. But I'm going to be there. This is the first time I'm visiting. It's very exciting. But so I'll have an update on the 1st and one on the 15th, and then I'll have an update after YarnCon. So maybe the 15th of April, with all of the good stuff. Yay. So this is a pretty small update, and it's all one of a kinds. And it's all like stitchery project bags, right? So I don't think I've never sold these before. I mean, I've made a few for myself, I've made a few for friends, but these are the first time ever offering in the shop. And they are, at this point, one of a kinds. I did look to see if this fabric is still available, and it is. But I don't know if I'll do any more of this specific one, because like the only thing that makes my pricing structure work is being able to do multiples of something. And so when things are one of a kind, it hurts a little bit in the pocketbook. But this fabric is so cute. I just had to do it. Okay, so I'm not going to show you all of them because that would be tedious. So I'll just show you a few so you can get an idea. Let's see, what should I show you? Okay, this one's really... So these are all going to have the clear vinyl front, right? They all have my YKK long pull zippers, which I love so much. They all have this sweet fabric as the backing fabric. And it, in and of itself, is super fresh, right? So yeah, great for stitcheries. Great for like notions, but really I use them almost exclusively for stitcheries. I'm sure you could use them for other things, but that's what I use them for. So this little guy, these little guys, right? What else? Oh, these are sweet. I say that like they're not all super sweet, but like, is it so precious? Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see very well, but so see how cute? Look at his little teethers. Look at his teeth. So cute. They ate a strawberry. The strawberry's so big when you're a tiny little thing. Oh, so cute. And then I'll show you, this is the last one. This is the biggest one. It's kind of a little bit crazy. It's 16 by 16, but I have project bags that is this size. So I don't care. Put your tax paperwork in it. That also works. Lord knows that needs cheering up. But right? Little family portrait in part of their tree trunk house. Anyway, so these are all quilters cotton, which again is not my standard, but this little sweet prints were just too much. I had to do it. Yeah, so those will again be on February 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern, fatsquirrelfibers.com. Okay, so then let's talk about crafts, baby. Let's talk about you and me. So over in Discord group with Patreons, we are doing a monthly, year-long ornament-along. Mostly because I'm doing an ornament. I'm doing lots of ornaments. I'm having my own little DIY homemade trinket year because I need tiny things of joy. I don't know why. The economy is better than it's ever been. But I will confess, okay? As a young person, I lied a lot, okay? There's lots of reasons. The biggest one is trauma. But I lied a lot as a very young person. And as an adult person, it is the thing that will send me through the roof the fastest. Other than like causing some mortal danger, obviously. There are many holes in my roof right now. So many. But I have cute little ornaments. So hello. I've finished my turtle dove, which is the from the 12 Days of Christmas, a series by Crafts. 3 M's and then the word crafts. So this is my turtle dove. I am stitching these. These are wool felt provided by Benzie Designs. I might be doing some wool felt retailing, some kits or something coming up soon. So keep your little eyeballs peeled. Or actually, better yet, let me know if you'd even be interested in that. Are you like, no thank you? I get it. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would be fun because we love wool. Hi. And it's not always the easiest thing to get your little mitts on. But this is a colorway series that was set up by Benzie Crafts. At last time I looked, they did not have these packs available. And they did have quite a few of their colors that were out of stock, but their felt is really lovely. And this is the first ornament I worked on where I don't think I pre-washed my felt for the other ones. That's right, because I didn't. Because you're told to pre-wash your felt, and I don't listen to recommendations. And so I hadn't. But I did discover, I have been told, that when you don't pre-felt or pre-wash your felt, the main thing that's an issue is that your stitches will sort of, because the felt will shrink just a little, not a lot, but it'll shrink a little bit. And your cotton stitches don't, you get a little bit of bubbling. It'd be interesting to know. I bet you could get away with it if you're using like that DMC Eco wool floss or just like Appleton's or whatever, wool crewel thread. Anyway, it never showed up like in the stitching. It was mostly like in like your if you had longer straight stitches, it would show up more. But so I did pre-wash my felt. It was very easy. I don't know why I was so resistant to it. I just used my Tuft woolens and washed it like I was like blocking a finished object. And then I just like slung it all, like not slung it. I rinsed it all out and then just placed it all over the house to dry. And then just used a hot iron to get it, because it does wrinkle it up quite a bit, but I used a hot iron and that did pretty well. to shrink it up. And then it was fun to work with because it was even thicker and squidgier. It was very pleasant. But yeah, so here's my turtle dove. Next month is French hens. I'm pretty excited about it. So then in sewing, last week I talked to you about the Hate Has No Home Here, which is a foundation paper pieced pattern by Rebecca Halverson. And so I have finished piecing the top. I have done mine with Lori Holt's Americana fabrics. And I'm actually really pleased with how it's turned out. I was concerned that because as the designer has photographed theirs, there's the model that they stitched is solids. I was afraid that the prints would be like too jarring, but I'm actually okay with it. I think with, the high enough contrast on the letters, I think it has worked out well. It definitely gives it a very different feel, but I'm okay with that. So I talked to the folks in the Discord group, and I was sort of, I like to sort of like, if I can, if the thing is small enough, hang it up and then sort of just like deliberate on it for a little bit. And so I was thinking, do I do a border? Do I, piano keys seem to be consensus, which I agree. But I might not do a border. I might just quilt it as it is and then decide if I want to do like a traditional binding or if I want to do the facing. So if you do a facing on a quilt, basically you're just turning everything back a quarter. So it gives the same overall dimensions, but you don't have a line. You don't have like the hard line around the edge. But I think I want the hard line. I'm going to be honest. I'm also just trying to not put any more money into this project for not a specific reason, but just because I have strips left over from the jelly roll. I did this with a jelly roll, and so I have strips left over. So part of me is like, well, so that was other thing. It's like, oh, well, maybe I should do the piano keys because I have this fabric. It would not be, I could do that. But I might use the strips just to like do like a stripped back, a pieced back, and then just do a binding. I don't know. I'm still thinking on it. But at this point, I'm pleased with it. I might also decide to do it with hand quilting. I haven't made that 100% for sure in my brain, but that would be fun too, to do like a big stitch quilt on it, big stitch quilting on it, because it's small enough that it's like enjoyable to do that. It's not like a ton of fabric that you're constantly trying to move around and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm pleased with how it's turned out so far. Yay. Oh, the letters are not part of that fabric line. And I did use almost exactly half of a yard. So if you're gonna, this pattern is available in both a 12-inch finished square and a 24-inch finished square. Mine, of course, is the 24-inch. And for that size, for my letters, I used a half a yard. I had a tiny bit left over, but not a ton. Okay, so then in knitting, I have a few finished objects and I have a new cast on. So I have finished another Musselburgh hat. This is, of course, by Isolde Teague. It's my new favorite on-the-go knitting socks. Although I might be able to get back to socks. My hands have been doing a little bit better lately. But I do really love it for on-the-go knitting. It's just relaxing. It's very portable because it's on circs and, and you just knit. So this is, I can't remember what the colorway name is, but it's another Crafty Girl, and this is her sport weight. So it does have more body than the fingering weight Musselburghs. Like the fingering weight Musselburghs do not stick up, or at least mine don't at the gauge I knit them at. But the sport one has enough oomph to it that it does. Of course, you don't have to have it stick up. You can roll it down as well. So yeah. Yay, Musselburghs! I knit these, see the sport weight one, I think I knit it on a 1.5, if I'm not mistaken. And I usually go down 2 needle sizes from like a suggested or standard gauge. But yeah. Super fun, super pleasant, dig them. And I think it would be great too. I've never done one with color work, but boy, that is also the way to go. Especially if you want to do like a woolen spun color work, but you're sensitive to having the wool against the toothier wool against your forehead, you know, you could do it with a muscle burra and make the lining a superwash or just something that's a little bit easier on your skin, and then do the color work. I think that would be super fun and cute. I haven't done one yet for some reason. Okay, so then I also finished my variations on a triangle, and that is a pattern that is by, it's a very long pattern. That is a pattern by Midori Hirose. It's Midori Hirose. And she has a new one that's variations on a hood, which I definitely need to make. And both of them, I did buy that other pattern to just verify. Well, and she tells you that in the description too. But both of these patterns are very formula-y. When I say formulaic, that sounds like it's a bad thing, but I mean that they are formula rich in that these patterns are like 5 or 6 different depths of triangle. Well, I'm sorry. The hood is different. The variations on a triangle, I think, is 5 different shapes of triangle. You go everywhere from like your traditional triangle to like a slightly shallower one until you get almost a scarf, right? I mean, almost like a strip. So here is mine. And so they're knit for like multiple the patterns available for multiple gauges. You can do stripes. She has a couple of different edgings. I think there's like more of like a picot-y kind of edging, or like a ruffle edging, I think. Anyway, they're just really versatile patterns. Lots and lots of stuff that you can do with them. She's got instructions on if you would like to do them striped, how you calculate the depth of your scarf so that you make sure your stripes work out evenly. Just very thoughtful, very well put together. Probably not a good pattern if you're a beginner, just because it would be just probably too much information. But if you've knit, you know, a few things and you're not prone to being overwhelmed or intimidated, they're really great patterns. Especially if you'd like to try your hand at designing some things and doing a little bit more play with stuff. Here is mine, right? That's exactly what I wanted it to be. So this is 2 strands of Knit Picks palette. I believe it's the Mamaw colorway. This is 2 strands of a Jamieson & Smith that was so generously donated to me by a viewer, right? It's the perfect blue that I never use and so therefore would never have purchased, but it's great. And then the black is a skein of Harrisville Tweeds Nightshades in the olive colorway, or it's not called olive, but it's the green one. And then the cream is Knit Picks palette, I believe in Oyster Heather, again, held double. And I am just really pleased with how it turned out. It was very fun to knit. Now, you do start at the bottom hem. Okay, so if you're a person that needs to use every little speck of your yarn, this is not your pattern. But I am sort of in the place, I used to be that person wholeheartedly, but I've sort of moved away from it a little bit. And now I'm like, that's okay if I don't use it all. Just enjoy it, you know? So you do start with this big long cast on, and then you do short rows to get yourself up to the top. It was very pleasant to knit. I think I knit mine on US 6s, I want to say. And it is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a scarf, but I didn't want to knit a scarf. And that's... So yeah, I cannot recommend this enough. It's great. I think it's... I mean, I love garter stitch. And if you can do garter stitch with 2 strands, even better in my book. It gets squidgier. So delicious. And I will say, this thing is so warm. I wore it the other day to my knitting group and I had like, it was cold. I think the high that day was like 38 or something Fahrenheit. So just a little bit above freezing. But I had this on and my like red toki melt the icy kind of hat. And I had to take it off because I got too hot in the car without heating on or anything. So it's very warm. And again, that is variations on a triangle. And the pattern is written by Midori Hirose. Midorihiroсе. And let me just discuss. Her models, the cutest. So precious. And let me also, oh, and so the other thing that's really fun about this one, I told you about it originally, but you knit like a tiny little bitty scarf. And it's the same thing with the hood. That's the picture from the hood. Same thing with the hood. You knit a tiny little bitty scarf as your gauge swatch, which is so much more fun than knitting a rectangle or a square. And you get to sort of like test out the like short rows sort of thing to see if you like it or what have you. So it's just really good all around. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Okay, so then I have a new cast on. Okay, let me show you the yarn first because that's how it started. I have been lusting, maybe that's too strong a word, probably not. Beaver Slide Dry Goods. Okay, so I love Beaver Slide Dry Goods. They are a mule spun yarn company in Montana. Most of their yarns are anywhere from like an 85% merino, 15% mohair. Whew, my brain just stopped working. Maybe it never started. Like 85, 15, 90, 10. Lots of their yarns have mohair, which is a very traditional, like piece fleece uses mohair. A lot of woolen spun yarns used mohair for a very long time because it's sort of, they call it nature's nylon. It makes the yarn a little bit stronger, but it also, if you're sensitive to like the prickliness of mohair, and I don't mean like the mohair silk because that's a whole different beast, but it can have a little bit of a prickly factor. Now, I can wear piece fleece all day long. Same thing with Beaver Slide Dry Goods, but I don't like the mohair right against my skin. It does sort of, anyway. Beaver Slide though has for the last several years, they've started doing some of their yarns in 100% merino, and it is really lovely and fun. And now they've put out some really fun colors. So I have these guys and then a few others that I also purchased that I think I'm going to start like a checkerboard vest with, but that's to come. The yellow is Lemon Lichen, and the blue is Bearing Falls. Like, how fun. Like, this is not a color that I own anything in, but I am really liking these very clear, unmuddied colors. And when I say muddied, I love muddy colors. Okay, that's not derogatory. That's complimentary. But as the Text Me Back gals would say, parentheses, complimentary. But I just don't know. I've just really been enjoying these clearer, brighter colors. And I will say, if you're going to see me at YarnCon, I may have gone a little ham with the fabrics that are in these clearer, brighter colors. It may have been a bad decision. I don't know, but they're so fun. And I need all the fun. Okay? Okay? So I'm just going to keep holding these up because... So I wanted to do something with these. I decided on, okay, so if you look up how to say this, it's Tegel. If you look up how to say it in English, it's Tegel. If you look up how to say it in Swedish, which is the reference, it's Tegel. There's like an extra thing in there. So I am bad at remembering how to say things. Like, my brain just doesn't hold on to sounds. I've discussed this before. I think it's the reason that I don't understand music quite as much as other people seem to. My brain, she just doesn't hold on to sounds. Anyway, one moment. My nose has been, you can see it, like it's all red. I can't tell if it's just allergies or if I'm getting a little bit of a cold, but I even have the little like place where you're, anyway, ouchie. Anyway, it's this super cute garter stitch in Tarja. What? But look at how cute. Okay, so here's the picture of him with it on his head, and we get a little bit of, okay, sorry, I'm gonna fold the pattern so that I don't show you anything vital. Look at that cheeky little hat. I'm here for it. So I think it'll be super fun in these colors. This designer is Jean-Philippe Cliché, or Clichy. I guess you're supposed to, if it doesn't have the thing over it, it's E. Clichy. Spelled like cliche. C-L-I-C-H-E. There was something I was supposed to say. Oh, about the title. Again, T-E-G-E-L. It's because that word Tegel, or Tegel. Okay, sorry. Tegel. Don't you just love when you listen to the pronunciation and you're like, I know that guy. Apparently I am that guy. Tegel. Which is a Swedish word for brick. Okay, that's what we're going for. So I've just started it. Okay, just like literally just started it. But it's already super cute. So you knit this one flat. It's a side-to-sider. Okay. You can do a double brim or a single brim. Okay, gauge is written for 4.5 stitches to the inch. I am getting 4. So what I'm going to do is the pattern is written for both a small and a large. I am doing the small size, and it should basically work out to be a large. That's always a really big risk in the side-to-side hats for some reason. I don't know why. I guess because the stretch is happening this way. It does feel like it's a little bit dicier in the side-to-side hat, but I mean, it's so cute that I don't care if I have to reknit it. I'm fine with it. Like, I've been working on my little log cabin block vest that I showed you last time, and I've had to redo the bottom border now. Well, I had like this much, and then I realized I didn't read the directions because surprise. And I tried to just, basically it has it's garter as well, but it has 1 stitch of stockinette on either side of it. And I realized it late, and I went down to just drop them down and just pick it back up that way. But it's right next to the salvage stitch, and it looked messy. And you know what? I was like, I don't actually care if I have to rip this out at all, because I am enjoying knitting with that spongy yarn so much. I'm just like, that's fine. So I'm looking forward to that. I have not finished my Lee Meredith hat. I got to the crown decreases, and then for some reason, just could not be bothered to get out my double points, or, you know, another longer circular. I'm the worst. Okay, so then in What You're Reading, I'll start with fiction, move to nonfiction. I finished The Lies They Told, which is a novel by Ellen Marie Wiseman, and this was recommended to me by a knitting friend. I won't read the full description because it is basically a synopsis of the entire book, which I never am a big fan of. So I'll just read the little blurb. In rural 1930s Virginia, a young immigrant mother fights for her dignity and those she loves against America's rising eugenics movement. So eugenics was when widespread support for policies of prejudice drove imprisonment and forced sterilization based on class, race, disability, education, and country of origin. In this tragic and uplifting novel of social injustice, survival, and hope for readers of several, then they list a few authors that I am not familiar with, so I won't be able to speak on the comparison. Sorry. Our mail carrier is super cute today. It's not a regular mail carrier. They're precious. Yeah. So I won't read the full synopsis again. It's like too much information, but it's, you know, historical fiction. The axis is the eugenics movement. So I listened to this audiobook, and it has a very high rating on Storygraph. It's like 4.3, I want to say. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. This book, I feel like was a frustrating read for me because every bad character is 100% bad and every good character is 100% good. Or at least that's sort of like the feeling I felt during the reading of the book. And obviously it is a monstrous concept, but it's really frustrating to me when an author or whatever, some sort of media, portrays people as 100% bad or 100% good, because it's this reinforcement of this thing that I know we, in the year of our Lord 2026, most of us have moved beyond, but it reinforces this like thought that only monsters can do really horrible things. And like, that's obviously not true, right? Anybody can do a monstrous thing. Anyone. Right? And they can put on a suit and they can go to work and right? And so it's just really frustrating to me when an author falls into that. And again, I 100% have never written a book. Would mine be infinitely worse? Yes, it would. But I just find that that's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because it feels like, especially right now, like we just need more nuance everywhere. One of the things I failed to communicate in this like reaching for concept is one of the things that makes me crazy about it is when we believe only monsters can do monstrous things, it prevents us from thinking that Jim down the street can do monstrous things. So when somebody accuses Jim of doing monstrous things, we then think that that person is clearly mistaken. That can't be, because Jim is not a monster. And so I don't know if that's like a failure of imagination or like, I don't know what to call that. But it really does prevent us from believing victims, from looking for the right people who have perpetrated crimes, and for holding people accountable. But I know Jim, and Jim is not a monster. Jim can do monstrous things. I don't care if he was an amazing softball coach. Or Sally, whatever. You know what I mean? But probably Jim. Okay, bye. And I get it. Like, it's probably also, like, the book is not about the characters who are the eugenicists. Like, the book is not about them. But, so I don't know how you would do it better. But it just falls into this thing that I find really, really frustrating. Like, not only does it in some way feel sort of like misery porn, like just everything is terrible. Like every bad thing just constantly is happening in this book. Which is not to say that it's not the path that some people are walking. Obviously it is. But it just sets us up for thinking this is like something that doesn't happen anymore or can't happen. And it's really, really frustrating. So I guess that's where I'm at. I would not recommend this book. I'm not upset that I listened to it. I mean, that's fine. But I don't think I would recommend it. So again, that's The Lies They Told. And it is a novel by Ellen Marie Wiseman. So then, in a completely different vein, I also finished Behind the Red Door, which is by Megan Collins. It was published in 2020, although my library still had a hold for it. But I think that's because she's an author who has like a gajillion books and they're all twisty, turny, suspensey things. And so once you read one of them, then you're like, well, now I'm just going to read them all, right? Because that's what I've done. When Fern Douglas sees the news about Astrid Sullivan, a 34-year-old missing woman from Maine, she is positive that she knows her. Fern's husband is sure it's because of Astrid's famous kidnapping and equally famous return 20 years ago, but Fern has no memory of that, even though it happened an hour outside her New Hampshire hometown. And when Astrid appears in Fern's recurring nightmare, one in which a girl reaches out to her pleading, Fern fears that it's not a dream at all, but a memory. And then again, there's more, I don't know why there's so many spoilers and descriptions. So this one has a 3.55 on Storygraph. But if you do like a twisty, turny, then I do recommend it. Library, definitely, because I don't think you're ever going to read it again. But it's definitely a good library checkout. And of course, everything is a great library checkout because libraries are amazing. Did you see the documentary, The Librarians? It is available on YouTube or PBS Passport, I think. It's really good. It's definitely one of those, like, so many things is it's like horrifying and scary and sad, but also really hopeful and like, oh, humans can be really bad and really good. Ding. It sounded like I was being dismissive of the documentary. It's not. That was just me being dismissive of like how I was summing it up. But it was really good. Did you watch it? How did you feel about it? It's really scary, right? Okay. My husband is currently baking a Michelangelo's frozen lasagna. And I do not like them. Actually, I've never tried that one. He was really big into the Stouffer's frozen lasagnas for a long time. And those made me so angry because they always smelled so good, but I did not like the way they tasted. Like, it's just like the tomato sauce is not just not a fan. I would love it if you loved it because obviously my husband does. By the way, I do know how to cook food and I do like to cook food. But you know, it's a neurospicy household. So some of us have a very narrow list of approved foods. And I'm just thankful that I don't have to cook all of them. Not that I would have to, but you know what I mean. Anyway, but it smells really good. Okay. So then in nonfiction, I finished Living Disability, which is Building Accessible Futures for Every Body, edited by Emily McCrae. From sidewalks to the climate crisis, Living Disability brings together the vibrant perspectives of 35 disabled writers. They explore disability justice, analyze urban systems, and propose more equitable approaches to city building. Essays and interviews push the conversation about accessibility beyond policy papers and compliancy checklists to show how disabled people are already creating more inclusive spaces in cities of all sizes. Living Disability is universal in scope, but intimate and local in focus. Oh, that's very true. Living Disability is universal in scope, but intimate and local in focus, grounded in personal struggles and celebrations. Decisions about public transit, affordable housing, and park design all disproportionately impact disabled communities. By sharing stories and strategies, contributors consider the way disabled thinkers and doers are embracing overlooked aspects of urban design and tackling the toughest problems facing cities. That is a great back blurb. That's great. I found this because my local bookstore, Mamaw bookstore, not a paid sponsor, had this. I would have never thought to look for it, and no algorithm would know I needed to read this, but I did, and my local bookseller also knew that. So thank you to them. I love any book that is about planning, like city planning, but not just city planning, but also rural planning. I like planning. Which is neurospicy household. But anyway, like, one of the best books I've read in a really long time was about parking, right? Like, it's just fascinating. And so this has a lot of that cool, interesting stuff, but through a different lens that I'm not usually looking through. And it's great because you have, let's see, what are the sections? Because the essays really, or some of them are essays, some of them are interviews. There's a lot of variety. But the sections are called Starting Out, which is sort of like what it says, Making Home, Moving Bodies, Shifting Systems and Dreaming Together. And one of the other things I don't think I've ever seen in another book is that at the end of each essay, interview, what have you, there is a plain language summary. And I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe like in a textbook. I could see how this could be a textbook. But I thought that was really unique and I really appreciated it. So I'm really thankful to have an opportunity to look through this lens. There's a really big swath of contributors, but there's also, even though there is a framework that everything sort of like hangs in, there is sort of just really interestingly broad topics that are being discussed as well. And in fact, one of the things really hit home is, with the blizzard, New York City, and we've saw all the amazing stuff about the program that Moderni did not invent. It's been in place, but he said it out loud, about the sidewalk clearing process. And one of the contributors here just talking, he's Canadian, and I apologize, I don't remember off the top of my head what city he's in, but he talks about how much it impacts his daily life when sidewalks are not cleared, and like how he has to plan so far in advance. And even sometimes when he gives like a 2 weeks, like, oh, I've had to move this appointment back because of this, because the snow has come, and I'll give it like a few weeks, and then it's still not cleared, or it's cleared but still not safe in terms of like, yes, maybe they've removed the snow, but now it's melted and refroze. And so that was just that sort of like rang a bell. That's not right, but and then there was another one that was really, there's a section about fitness, and the author John Lopke, it's Loeppky, has an essay titled "Cripping Recreation: How Disabled Athletes Get Left Out of Urban Planning." And just really interesting. He talks about, it feels like physical fitness is portrayed in his community as sort of like boom or bust, like it's either the Paralympics or it's nothing, which is a super, again, reading around the time of the Paralympics and the Olympics. One of the quotes I thought that I highlighted and exclamation pointed was, on top of that, at the root level, disabled people are not taught to enjoy fitness, nor are we given space to figure out how fitness can help us feel more like ourselves. Oh my gosh, say it out loud. We're taught physiotherapy by default. Good physios make the crip world go round, but that approach is fairly clinical and in many cases devoid of joy. And so there's an essay by Sonali Menezes. I apologize. It's Menezes. And I feel like I have seen excerpts from some of her zines before, but she has written the Depression Cooking Manifesto. And I'll just read a little bit of it. But I just think it's another, in a time of too many flippin' TikToks filmed in a grocery aisle. Is it edible? Cool. Put it in your mouth. It's better to eat something than nothing. We're in the business of surviving, baby. We eat in the face of depression. Meal categories? No thanks. Breakfast for every meal of the day, we say. In the Depression Cooking Meal Plan, there are no bad foods. All foods have nutrition, and all foods feed our bellies and bodies. Individually wrapped microwavable TV dinner? Bring it on. And individualist consumerist choices are not going to save the planet. Large-scale systematic change does. Industries are our largest pollutants, not you. You are one depressed human trying to survive under the crushing weight of capitalism. You are doing just fine, sunshine. Mac and cheese is the very first food group. MW and any white vegan who will shame you into believing otherwise. Shame will get us nowhere. Remember to worship the Holy Trinity, the mac and cheese, the instant ramen, and the holy toast. This is the foundation. Start here and the meal possibilities are absolutely endless. When too depressed to chew, make a smoothie. When too depressed to blend, drink and ensure. Remember, a bowl of popcorn will sometimes suffice. Cheese and crackers will always do. A bowl of ice cream too. Is it edible? Cool. Put it in your mouth. It's better to eat something than nothing. We're in the business of surviving, baby. I almost got like teared up on that one. Right? Like how much shame is around food. And I don't think we always even can put a finger on it until somebody holds that mirror up, and then we can say, yeah, that's right. So anyway, super thankful. Living Disability, Building Accessible Futures for Everybody, edited by Emily McCrae, Macrae. So usually I do read nonfiction with my eyeballs on a paper surface. But sometimes if something is recommended and I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, I will listen to I'll check out the audiobook, especially if it's available immediately. I'll check out the audiobook from my library, and sometimes it happens that I realize like, oh, I can actually listen to this one. And that was the case with Little Bosses Everywhere. Here's the description. A gripping work of history and reportage that unveils the stranger-than-fiction world of multi-level marketing, a massive money-making scam, and radical political conspiracy that has remade American society. It's the best book of the year from the Washington Post, NPR, and Publishers Weekly. Companies like Amway, Mary Kay, and Herbalife advertise the world's greatest opportunity, the chance to be your own boss via an enigmatic business model called multi-level marketing, or MLM. They offer a world of pink Cadillacs, white-columned mansions, tropical vacations, and, most precious of all, financial freedom. If that is, you're willing to shell out for expensive products and recruit everyone you know to buy them. And if they recruit everyone they know, too, thus creating the multiple levels of MLM. Overwhelming evidence suggests that most people lose money in multi-level marketing, and that many MLM companies, are pyramid schemes. Yet the industry's origins, tied to right-wing ideologues like Ronald Reagan, have escaped public scrutiny. MLM has slithered in the wake of every economic crisis of the last century, from the Depression to the pandemic, ensnaring laid-off workers, stay-at-home moms, and teachers, anyone who has been left behind by rising inequality. And there's more, but I think that's sufficient. So, if you are, if you've watched like the LuLaRoe docuseries, I just read that one another one not too long ago, that was about MLMs. But anyway, if you're interested in sort of intrigued by it, this one has a lot more information about the origins of MLM. And again, like tying them through like to these big economic crises is just one of the ways they really flourish. It does have personal stories, and they are, heartbreaking, but the heartbreak is not the central premise of the book. It feels like the premise of the book is, this is a scam. This is a grift. So that's the energy I want right now. Everything is rigged. And as a person who grew up working class and went to a fancy pants college because they had good financial aid, I've always really felt like things were rigged, but it seems like it's getting really loud. So it is at one point comforting to be like, yes, this is all rigged. I knew it. But then also to be like, oh my gosh, this is all real rigged. Because it's got lots, it doesn't focus on the DeVos family. I feel like I've heard it 17 different ways. It doesn't specifically focus on them, but they are a big part of the sort of MLM universe. It talks about like the crazy deregulation that's happened to the point now where they like are supposed to be self-regulating. Like really? Because a sector that is specifically being questioned because it's scammy That is definitely a sector that we should promote self-regulation to. 100%. 100%. So it is frustrating read because you just see it over and over and over and over again, how these people have slithered through all of these cracks and how they are, they're decimating certain people's financial lives. And of course, it's the people who are most vulnerable. And yeah, it's a real bummer. But if you want to get really angry and shake your fist at stuff, I would say it's a good option. So again, that is Little Bosses Everywhere, How the Pyramid Scheme Shaped America, Bridget Reed. And again, it gives a lot of greater context, historically and politically and financially. And oh my gosh, about the international reach. Oh my gosh. See, this is the thing that really fired me all the way up, was that because we have failed to regulate these things, because we have failed to take action in any meaningful way against these grifters, they have had the power and the reach to go then run these operations globally. And that is not the brand ambassador I want out there. Right? Are you kidding me? I don't know that I've ever read much at all about MLMs and their reach, international reach. But boy, these people are so scummy. So scummy. Part of me is like, do I wish I had known all of this stuff? Because, when Davos was the Secretary of Education, I was like, yeah, that's really scammy and weird. Obviously, it's a pay-to-play situation. She has literally said, she's not used the pay-to-play verbiage, but she has literally said, yes, we expect to get something out of these contributions, which of course we all know, I guess say it out loud, thanks. But when they just sort of offhandedly said that the family money is all from Amway, I was just like, well, that's kind of weird, but I wasn't really focusing on that at all, just because, again, everything else seemed really creepy and gross. But oh my gosh. Anyway. Okay, y'all. Did you make anything delicious this week? I made a split red lentil dish, like a dal. That was really good, and it was much less intimidating than I thought it would be. So that was really delicious. And then I will also say, I have been hitting hard the maple walnut biscotti, which is a recipe by King Arthur Flour. I've made them for years, but boy, they have really been hitting the spot recently. I'm really enjoying that little maple walnut. Actually, I've been using pecans because I happen to have pecans, because I had planned to do some holiday baking that did not shake out. And that's even more delicious. I hate to say it, it's even more delicious. It does require maple extract, but pro tip, if your maple extract tells you that it's expired in the year of our Lord 2020, just double it up, it'll be fine. I can't believe I'm to this age. I can remember being a young person and going through looking for something in my Mamaw's cabinets and be like, Mamaw! This expired 6 years ago. I am Mamaw, y'all. I am my own Mamaw. The teen totally pointed it out when they came home last Christmas. I can't remember now what it was. I think it was a medication, if I'm not mistaken. I was like, it's fine. It might be slightly less effective. It wasn't like a life-saving medication, y'all. It was like an OTC, like you got a tummy ache kind of medication. And I think there was also another one. I think it was a spice. I think it was a spice thing. And I'm like, I just bought that 6 years ago. So anyway, if your if your maple extract is a little expired, it's fine. That's basically alcohol. It never goes bad. It's okay. Just like slightly less effective. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. I am my own Mamaw. That's definitely the show title. Okay, so those are delicious things that I've enjoyed since we talked last. I hung my, can you tell? You're probably gonna tell. I hung my laundry out on the line. Which is always a nice thing to be able to do. I think I literally like stretched them out because like they were, it looked like I had the tiniest shoulder pads on earth. Like it was just like a little point because the clothes pegs had, you know, pulled them. Ridiculous. What was even sillier was I was like looking at myself in the mirror when I was brushing my hair this morning. I was like, what's happening? Why do I have like, and I was like, oh, that's right. I hung these out to dry. But anyway, so I hung it out to dry and it was like fairly sunny and it was windy enough that the wind chimes that, by the way, my mother bought me probably 15 years ago and they are still going strong. They're like those big long ones that are like coppery. So they're, well, I think they're a very pleasant sound. It occurred to me as I was like enjoying them as the laundry was blowing in the breeze. I was like, I wonder if my neighbor hates these. I was like, well, you know what? It's a responsibility. They've never told me that they do. They're the lower ones. They're really pleasant. Here, I'll put a little tiny clip in. See, those are nice, right? Whatever, it's his responsibility to tell me if he doesn't like them. So what are other bright spots? I was listening to an interview with Anne Lamott. And again, she is an imperfect person. She's said a few cruel things, but it looks like her son very lovingly checked her on it, like in a really a good, in a way that is really lovingly modeled. So if you're interested, you can look it up. It was in 2015. But anyway, this interview was fairly recent. And there were lots of things in it that I wrote down and like, oh, I need to chew on that more. And oh, I need to think about that more. But one of the things that she said, they were talking about like hope and giving like as a path to joy, like just giving without any thought of reciprocity, just giving with that open heart, open hand sort of thing. And she was talking about, she was saying like, just, go to the ATM and get a bunch of dollar bills and then just give them out to the people who are at the intersection. And she said something that I really liked. She was like, so just give them out to the folks at the intersection without worrying what you think they should spend it on. Right. And then she said a really interesting thing, because she's, I think both of the interviewer and the interviewee were both Christian folks. I believe Anne Lamott said she's Presbyterian, if I'm not mistaken. But she specifically said, Jesus did not ask the blind man, what do you plan on seeing after I heal you? And I just was like, yeah. Like I've, how many times have we been on both sides of that place? And I just thought that was like such a really good, succinct way to tell your annoying uncle at the Thanksgiving table to mind his own business about doing good without consideration of the people that you are inflicting the good upon. So yeah. Okay, that's all I got for you, y'all. I hope you have something satisfying to eat. I hope that you are eating up all the cute dogs in the snowstorm. Nom, 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 nom. I hope you were eating all of those up because I love them. I hope that you're warm. I hope that they dig you out soon. God bless. Yeah, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.